do like a story that's just off the beaten track, a hidden gem that's actually really accessible. And today I've got an absolute cracker for you. So I'm on the A429, the famous or infamous Foss Way, just north of Cirencester. It's a road that lots of people travel. It's obviously normally pretty busy, not too bad today, but normally pretty busy. But if you just turn off, you can find some absolutely delightful places to go with a real good hidden story. And that's what I've got for you today. Now, the place that we're going to drop into is a place called Coln Rogers. And there are two good reasons for visiting Coln Rogers. The first one is that it is one of those quintessentially lovely Cotswold villages. And the second reason is that it hides a really lovely secret that's quite uplifting relating to the First World War. So we just come down here and we'll throw a right. So it's just down here. Always the way. So we're just off the Foss Way, and I have to say, when you do these little lanes, just keep an eye out, because whilst they are very picturesque, there is a sort of a view that most people have around here. There won't be anything coming the other way, and sometimes there are, and it can be a bit of a shocker. So we'll come up here and we just turn down here, and already you're into that classic Cotswold countryside, even adorned with a red telephone box. I mean, come on. Oh dear. So we're just going to come through a place called Coln St Dennis, and then we're going to pop out the other side into Coln Rogers. But literally, I always think when you're on the Foss Way, as soon as you get off, you're suddenly into some of the most chocolate box scenery you could wish for. You've just got to make the effort to head off the main road. I have to say, the Coln Valley really is, I think it's one of the most beautiful valleys in the Cotswolds. It really stands out. Well worth a visit. And you could almost pick a village at random and you'll be impressed. So here we are, we're riding down the bottom of the Coln Valley now. The river's over to our left. Really picturesque, really scenic. Stone cottages, rolling, gently undulating hills. Absolutely beautiful. So we're nearly there now. Nice bit of green moss in the middle of the road. Almost feel like I'm doing a bit of off-roading, but there you go. And the place we're going to visit is an exquisite little church that I'll talk about when we get there. But it's the secret that it holds that really makes it uplifting and worth a visit. So, but we'll cover that in a moment. So this is Coln Rogers, and we're going to come into the village and we're going to throw a little left down a road that ends up as a dead end. But don't worry, it's nice and easy to turn around if you're coming on a bike, and if you're in a car, there's a small car park as well. Again, little signpost saying Saxon Church, and that's all the signposting you get, which is, I think, is one of the charms of the Cotswolds, that there are all these little places which are just quietly getting on with their day, and they don't feel the need to shout about what they've got to show people. So here we are. So I'm just going to park up here in this little car park. We'll have a very short little walk just over in that direction, and I'll tell you the story behind where we've come to. Okay, see you in a moment. So here we are in Coln Rogers, and the place we're going to visit is a church with a little hidden secret from the First World War, and it's the Church of St Andrew. So if we just walk down here, it's really rather picturesque, so it's worth having a little wander down. Hidden away in beautiful Cotswold countryside. So if this is if not a good entrance to a church, I don't know what is. Look at that, it's fabulous, isn't it? I think the word idyllic is somewhat overused, but I don't think it is in this occasion. Anyway, the story what we're going to come and look at relates to the First World War.
and obviously I think it's well documented and everybody knows the carnage and the loss of life in the First World War. But it was noticed when all the dust had settled and the burials had happened and the monuments were created, that there were 54 villages in the UK that were that hadn't suffered any of their residents dying in the war, and they coined the phrase the Thankfull villages, saying there are only 54 of these across the whole of the country. And when you remember that there are over 10,000 parishes in the UK, that gives you some idea of the scale of the slaughter in the First World War, and it's quite a shocking statistic. But anyway, Coln Rogers, the Church of St Andrews, is one of those Thankfull villages. So we'll just have a quick look inside, and this is it. And if we go inside, we might play havoc with the light on the in here now, but there you go. So what this says is, inscribed below are the names of the men of this village who served in the HM forces during the Great War 1914 to 1919, and then all those names. And then at the bottom it says, all of whom by God's great mercy returned safely, thanks be to thee, O Lord. So yeah, extraordinary. A little bit of history hidden away here. There are actually 3 Thankfull villages in Gloucestershire, which is quite a high percentage. Bear in mind there's only 54 across the whole of the UK. So there you go. If we just pop into the church itself is quite interesting as well, because it's largely Saxon. So the nave, which is the central part of the church, is still Saxon, hasn't changed. And if we go down to the chancel, which is the piece around the altar, that's remained Saxon as well. So beautiful stained glass window as well. So yes, it's quite a historic church, really rather beautiful. So if we come down here, lovely peaceful church. Yes, as I say, one of the Thankfull villages. One of the other things that's memorable about the First World War as well is that it changed the way the army recruited and split up soldiers. So in the First World War, there was something called the PALS Battalion. PALS battalions, where basically people from a particular village would all go off together to fight and serve in that conflict. The reason behind that was that it was felt that they would have sort of greater togetherness, they'd work together, they knew each other, they understood each other. But what that did mean is if a particular battalion was involved in a particularly brutal battle, then frequently it could wipe out all the youth of the town or the village. And this is almost a case in point here. So if you look at the names on here, you've got obviously families of brothers who went. So up here you've got the Portlocks, 3 of them, 2 Stephens, 2 Rawlings, 2 Hiscocks, 2 Harrises. So, you know, I think that's why they changed it, was actually if this particular battalion that the people from Coln Rogers had been with had suffered at a particularly brutal battle, it could literally decimate a particular village. So going forward, particularly in the Second World War, there was conscious effort was made to split people up, not keep people from the same places together, so that wasn't a risk. So there you go. Anyway, well worth a visit, just off the Foss Way, and a really quite delightful spot in the Cotswolds. So hope you enjoyed that. Even if you're not into your history and your little quirks of Cotswolds, it's actually just a glorious place to spend a little bit of time, and say a relatively short distance off a major road. So just walk back to the bike now, jump on it and get on my way. But I hope you found that interesting, and it stimulates maybe the thought that you might, if you're passing, come and visit. Okay, anyway, ever onward.
So I think that was rather special, and the rest of Coln Rogers is absolutely delightful to walk around. There's a good selection of footpaths that come off it as well, some of them following the river for a short while, so definitely a place to visit for more than just the church as well, and the First World War connection. Really lovely place. Anyway, I'll just leave the camera on as we exit the village, just so you can get a feel for what the whole place is like. 2 local residents just stopped for a chat. Very little cars coming down here. think the Cotswold can best be described as laid back. So, let's go up here. Nice bit of gravel, enemy of a motorcyclist, but there you go, not too bad. There you can see, just a really idyllic place.